So we'll get started now. I wanted to thank everybody for coming to today's webinar series, which is license activation. So a quick recap of what we will cover, what we will be covering today on the next 60 minutes will be, we'll get started today on a guided tutorial on license activation of Prisma Access. We will then be focusing on troubleshooting common issues in the activation process. We will then be focusing on upgrading to Prisma Access 2.0, and we will be finishing today's session with a Q&A session. I highly encourage everyone to submit their questions on the chat box, and we will make sure to cover all of your questions at the end of today's webinar. I also wanted to let everybody know about our upcoming webinars we have coming up. First of all, it's getting started with Prisma Access Part 2, which is onboarding the access service for service connections, which will be happening on March 3rd at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Prisma Access Insights, getting visibility and control of your Prisma Access solution, which will be happening on March 10 at 2 p.m. Pacific time. And also getting started with Prisma Access Part 3, onboarding the access service for mobile users, which will be happening on March 17 at 8 a.m. Pacific time. So I wanted to introduce today's customer success tour guides. So our customer success managers on today's call is myself, Wendy Sanchez, and Anil. Your customer success engineer on today's call is Karam Shasad, and Prisma Access Product Management, Encore. I wanted to also let everybody know as well that all of the steps described here are available on our Tech Docs and Palo Alto Live community. We'll be sharing all the links to these documents on the chat box as well, so you can easily access those if you don't have access to those already. So I'll be handing it over here to my colleague Karam, who will be taking it on from here.
Thank you, Wendy. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Prisma Access webinar series part 1. Today we'll be talking about Prisma Access license activation and plugin installation. So we will discuss how to manage Prisma Access, Panorama-managed versus cloud-managed, some of the best practices, discuss how to activate the Prisma Access for Panorama-managed and cloud-managed, and also discuss some of the common troubleshooting scenarios which you may encounter while activating your Prisma Access licenses. So let's have a look. There are two ways to manage your Prisma Access: cloud-managed interface and the Panorama-managed. You have to decide before activation of your license how you want to manage your Prisma Access. Once you activate your license on one of the management interface, either Panorama or Cloud Managed, you cannot switch between these two management interfaces. There are some differences between what is supported on the Panorama Managed and what is supported on the Cloud Managed. And those all feature list is available on our Tech Talks, the compatibility matrix. I highly encourage you, before activating your license, please go to the Tech Docs and go through all the features. You need a cloud service plugin to install on your Panorama if you want to manage your Prisma Access by Panorama. And this is a good option if you're already using Panorama to manage your next-gen firewall. You can use the same Panorama to manage Prisma Access, and you can have common policies that you may want to leverage for access to your corporate resources and applications. Cloud Managed Prisma Access simplifies the onboarding process. It has a predefined decryption rules and policies which you can leverage. And it's quick to set up IPsec tunnels with the supported devices. Here are some of the best practices. Before activating your license, plan if you want to manage your Prisma Access through Panorama and you want to set up your Panorama in HA primary and secondary. So you have to set up your HA or high availability Panorama before activation of your licenses. You can set up later as well, but this is the best practice and we highly recommend you to set up HA pair before activation of your licenses. Upgrade your Panorama. Make sure that your Panorama is running a minimum version of Panorama PanOS for 2.0, which will be 9.1.4, or the plugin version you are going to install. Make sure that your Panorama is supported that cloud service plugin version. Make sure that you have CSP account. If not, create a CSP account on a custom support portal. Assign roles which you may need to activate Prisma Access. You must be a super user privileges. Make sure that you have received the order fulfillment email from the Palo Alto Networks, which will be having a magic link to activate your Prisma Access license, and note down your Panorama serial number, which you may need while activating your Prisma Access license. Let's have a look into the activation flow, how we will be activating your Prisma Access license. So here is a quick video from the Palo Alto product management team for the licensing and activation. Let's have a look.
Hi, this is Rachel from the Prisma Access product management team. I will be walking you through the activation process of Prisma Access. Once we process your evaluation or purchase of Prisma Access, an email will be sent to you. From this activation email, click Activate to start the activation. After signing in with your email, please choose the products you want to activate for this time. Please note that a valid Cortex Data Lake instance is required for Prisma Access activation. Next step, choose the customer support account you want to assign new products to. Then, you can choose the way you want to manage Prisma Access. We support both cloud-based management and Panorama. You can link your Prisma Access to existing ones or new ones. As I don't have any existing cloud management instances that are available, I will need to create a new cloud management console. The next step is to choose a Cortex Data Lake and finalize some selections. The activation is now done. While the provision is in progress, don't forget to explore the useful links to learn more about Prisma Access and consider your next steps. If you would like to manage Prisma Access using existing Panorama, select an existing Panorama here. Finalize selections as I showed before. Click Confirm Selections and the activation is done. If you would like to set up a new panorama, click Set up a new panorama. Follow the instructions and complete all the steps. Then come back here to click Next. Finalize selections and the activation is done. You will see a similar in progress page, but please know that there will be a one-time password here, which you will need to verify in Panorama later. It will appear after the provision is complete and will be updated every 10 minutes. No worries if you accidentally close the tab. The Activate button in the activation email will always lead you to the last step you've completed. Once the provision is done, we will also send you an email to let you know that it's done. If you still have any questions about activation after reviewing all the helpful resources we provide, please open a support case in the customer support portal. We are here to support you. Thanks for choosing Prisma Access.
Thank you. Let's look into each steps involved here. So this is a complete flow of activation and all the steps involved. Let's look into each steps involved into the license activation. The first step is you must have received an email from Palo Alto Networks, which will be having a magic link, which showing like this. This is a magic link, which will showing activate buttons on that email. Once you click on that, one of the activate, it will ask you to log in. And this login is the same login of your hub or apps.paloaltonetworks.com. Login as a super user. After the login, it will show you all of your Prisma Access products or licenses that you have purchased. In most of the cases, you can select all once you activate it. CDL is needed as an essential part of the Prisma Access, but if you already have CDL licenses you are using for your on-prem firewalls, log forwarding, and you want to use, you can deselect that and use that existing one. You have to associate your existing CDL with the Prisma Access license in that case. Link with the correct CSP account. If you have multiple CSP accounts under your customer support portal, if you are managing multiple accounts, make sure that you're associating a correct CSP account with the Prisma Access license you're activating. Here, choose how you want to manage your Prisma Access. We are discussing right now here Panorama-managed activation. So from here, there are two options you have: use existing Panorama or use a new Panorama or register a new Panorama. If you are clicking on use existing Panorama from the drop-down menu, you have to choose the correct serial number. Make sure that the serial number you are picking up is the correct serial number. That's why I mentioned earlier, make sure or note down your Panorama serial number, and you can check here that you're selecting correct serial number. So if you want to use a new Panorama, you got a new Panorama, so you have to register. So this activation flow will give you an option to register a new Panorama. So you have two options. Either you can register first on the CSP before coming to this activation flow, or you can register as a part of this activation flow, and it will completely guided here. If you click here, install Panorama, it will give you all the options how you can set up your Panorama and register it in the CSP, customer support portal. Finalize your selection. Select the Cortex Data Lake instance where you want your region for the Cortex Data Lake. After confirming your selection, you will see the progress bar. It will take 15 to 20 minutes approximately to complete your activation. Once this activation is completed, you will see this OTP is generated here. Make sure that you have saved this OTP. You may need this OTP once you are installing your cloud service plugin and verifying your account in Panorama. So after successful activation of licenses, the next part is download and install the cloud service plugin. Before installing the cloud service plugin, make sure that your Panorama is running a supported cloud, supported PanOS version on the Panorama. Refer to the compatibility matrix to check and make sure that what version of PanOS is installed and what version of cloud service plugin you're going to install. There are two ways to download the plugin. One is through the custom support portal, and another one is directly on your Panorama. From the customer support portal, you can log into the customer support portal and click on the software updates, find the cloud service plugin, and download it. After that, you can log into the Panorama and upload the plugin into the Panorama. Make sure that once you download from the CSP, that plugin, you're not renaming it. The name should not be changed. Another option is to directly install or download on the Panorama. In the Panorama tab, in the plugin section, click Check Now, and after that, you'll see that Cloud Service plugin version will be available. Pick up the latest version or whatever the version you want to install. Click Download and Install. Once the plugin version installed, you will see that in the Panorama tab, in the left bottom, the Cloud Service Status Configuration menu will be appear, which shows that you have installed successfully your Cloud Service plugin. After plugin installation and your license activation, now you have to associate your Cloud Service plugin in Panorama with your license activation. For that, you need to retrieve the licenses in your Panorama. Go to Panorama, Licenses, and click Retrieve license keys from the licensing server. Once licensing has been retrieved, you will see that in the configuration section under the cloud services, it will be asking to verify your account. Click on the verify. Then it will ask for your one-time password, OTP, which was generated as a part of your license activation. Copy that OTP from there and paste here. If you have not done so, you can go again, click on your magic link, and it will take you to the OTP where you left off. Copy that OTP and paste here and verify your account. If verify is disabled, make sure that you have configured a DNS and NTP server in your Panorama. That's it. You are done with your license activation for your Panorama-managed Prisma Access, and you're ready to onboard. In our upcoming webinars, we'll be discussing about how to set up service connections, remote networks, and mobile users. I highly encourage you to please register for our upcoming webinars, where we talk about the onboarding and details. Let's have a look into the license activation with cloud-managed Prisma Access. So before you activate, make sure that you have set up a support portal account. All the roles, super users role have been assigned. You are registered as an app administrator for Prisma Access and Cortex Data Lake in the hub. This is a complete flow of activation for cloud managed Prisma Access. The major differences in the whole flow is your selection. How do you want to manage your Prisma Access? Rest all the process is pretty much same, where you are clicking on the magic link, logging into the hub, choosing the products, linking with the correct CSP account, choosing how you want to manage cloud managed, finalize your selection by selecting the region for the CDL, and completing the activation process. So here's the detail and of each steps involved. Click on the magic link to activate. Log in into the hub. Choose the product you want to activate or all the products. Link with the correct CSP account. And here you will choose how you want to manage your Prisma Access, which is kind of a important step in the activation flow. Either it's Panorama-managed or a cloud-managed. So once you made your selection, you finalize and your license will be active. You will see in the hub, which is apps.paloaltonetworks.com, a Prisma Access app, which will be activated for you. And once you click on that, you will see your license will be activated. It will be showing up something like this. That's it. This is a process how you will activate your Prisma Access licenses for cloud managed. Let's discuss some of the common troubleshooting scenarios which you may encounter while you're activating your Prisma Access licenses. There are some of the common issues which we have seen that, for example, Panorama unable to connect to the Prisma Access, SSL certificate errors when querying logs, errors while generating OTP, plugin not responding, OTP verification failures, fail to verify account. So if you ever have been encountered in such all kind of these errors, first of all, make sure that you have all the given APIs, the URLs, whitelisted for the Prisma Access communication. Port 444, which is the Cortex Data Lake, and these APIs were which are for Cortex Data Lake, Prisma Access, all are whitelisted. Let's look. So, in order to solve these problems, and before going to the tag for any help, which you can do any time, delete all the Prisma Access licensing keys existing on your Panorama. Make sure that just reset your Panorama and the licenses. Delete existing certificates, keys, reset the service endpoints, and fetch all those certificates. You can do all this by logging into the Panorama CLI and running all these commands. These commands are all available in our admin guides and tech talks. Let's discuss how you can transfer or update your Prisma Access licenses. There are two scenarios. First, discuss the first scenario, which is you're transferring or you want to transfer your production Prisma Access license from one Panorama appliance to another Panorama. Or your current Panorama is an eval and you want to transfer your Prisma Access licenses to the production Panorama. For this purpose, it's an optional. If you before starting your transfer, if you want to save all the configurations, export it. Otherwise, Prisma Access saves all the infrastructure settings, including public IPs, loopback IPs, and you need to transfer Panorama specific configuration to the Panorama appliance. Or if you want, you can export that as a best practice. Log in into the customer support portal, select assets devices, and find the production Panorama appliance to which you will be transferring your plugin licenses. Make sure that it has an active support license and note down the serial number. Then search for the current Panorama you're using to manage your Prisma Access and note down the serial number, and make sure that the model number name, it should be having this given format, span PRA25. This format should be there. After that, click on the actions and transfer cloud service license, select the Panorama, and you will be done. Another scenario is you want to update your Prisma Access license from an eval to production. In your Panorama, you're running an eval Prisma Access license, but now from the eval you want to use to move to production. For this one, you have to reset your licenses. You have to remove all of the existing eval Prisma Access licenses and all those associated keys, certificates which are associated with the eval Prisma Access license. You have to remove, reset, and then install the production license. For that one, log in into the Panorama console and delete all the license keys. Here are the commands which you can use to reset. All these commands and instructions are given in our tech docs. and the Prisma Access admin guides as well. Once you delete or reset, then you can refetch your configuration in the plugin. Request the plugin Cloud Service Panorama certificate. It will refetch your OTP, your license keys, and if this is not helping, your licenses are not updating correctly, you can contact Palo Alto Network Support for troubleshooting. So this was all about activation and some of the best practices and troubleshooting. From here, I will forward to my friend and colleague Anil, who's a customer success manager, who will be discussing some of the quick updates on the upgrade procedure for Prisma Access 2.0. Over to you, Anil.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Khurram. Thanks for hanging in there, guys. I've got just a couple minutes here. I'll take about 10 minutes to cover Prisma Access 2.0 and your upgrade process to that. So let's get started on that. And by the way, please do keep your questions coming in the Q&A section. We'll happily answer those questions as we go forward. If the control, let's see if when this thing responds to my, there we go. All right. Oh, let me go back here. All right. So first I want to talk about Prisma Access 2.0. And we covered this in a webinar last week, but there's a lot of great features coming up in this new release of Prisma Access that's coming up in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So as new customers to Prisma Access, you are going to get notified of this, and we want to make sure you know about it and get a kind of an update on that upgrade process that's coming. So some of the key features that Prisma Access 2.0 brings in its preferred release, and there's 2 cloud services plugin versions. The preferred release is what most of our customers will get, and that has key great features like aggregate bandwidth that allow you to load balance your bandwidth across your remote networks, branch office and performance improvements, allowing you to pre-allocate your egress IPs for onboarding new mobile user gateways, providing new compute locations in places like Japan, new wildfire regions to allow greater control of the data within certain markets as required by privacy laws, and new CDL regions across the globe between Canada, Japan, Australia, and Singapore. Finally, we've got a long-awaited feature that allows you to work with the Panorama to finally schedule reports. So those are all the great things that are coming in the 2.0 preferred release of Access coming up. And the next, if I can get these slides to advance properly today, gosh. All right, the innovation release coming at you after the 2.0 preferred release has even greater features. It will allow us to onboard new customers with the explicit proxy as a new connection mechanism. It allows you to integrate with our world-class IoT security solutions, allows you to take advantage of features like our cloud blades in our Prisma Access network to integrate with third-party RBI or remote browser isolation solutions that are becoming very popular for security reasons. Branch office and service connection performance improvements, going right up to 1 gigabyte on our service connections and going up to 500 megabytes on our branch office connections. And then, you know, with 10.0, we've got amazing features coming from the machine language side of SASE that you can take advantage of, and more features. And Global Protect now has been enhanced to allow you to have much greater visibility into the issues that your end users are having, allowing your end users to self-diagnose some of those issues. So those are all the key highlights in the innovation release. And if I can get this to advance one more time, gosh, I'm having trouble with this today. Okay, going too fast. There we go. Oh, now it's working for me. There we go. So the upgrade process for Prisma Access 2.0 is called a Canary upgrade process, and it'll give you, our customers, a chance to choose your time of the upgrade as well as which of your Prisma Access locations gets upgraded first. And for a couple of you on the call on this webinar, I know this is a repeat from last week, so bear with me. This will allow you to manage the risk in terms of the upgrade and allow us to then institute 7 days of proactive monitoring across that upgraded location, at which point we will upgrade the remaining Prisma Access locations. Throughout the process, as I'll show you with a couple of screenshots, you'll get notification and active communications from both from emails as well as alerts and banners in Prisma Insights. The process, if I can advance this. There we go. The process, as I have described, is we will publish to you a window of upgrade calendar, of window of times that you can upgrade, choose, and you can then in Insights, and then you can select your upgrade time as well as your location and the software version you want to upgrade to. Subsequent to that, we'll start the clock and start giving you reminders 21 days in advance, 3 days in advance, 24 hours in advance of that upgrade beginning. And once that upgrade starts, we'll keep you notified and have enhanced monitoring in place for 7 days, at the end of which we will upgrade all your Prisma Access locations. Now, important note is that if we can get to the next slide. All right, if you don't make any selection, folks, we will make the selection for you, and within those windows that were afforded to you, we will upgrade all your Prisma Access locations to the preferred software version in that scheduled window. And as I said before, you'll see all these notifications in Prisma Access Insights. And I do apologize for my, all right, gosh. Okay, let's jump to the punchline here. 3 points to remember: sign up for Insights alerts now. Make sure that your minimum software versions for Access are 9.1.4 on your Panorama device that's managing your Prisma Access environment. Your Global Protect agent, if you're using mobile users, Prisma Access for mobile users, your Global Protect agent needs to be at a minimum of version 5.1.6 or 5.2.4. And Global Protect agent version 5.2.5 is required to use all the new features that are available with Prisma Access 2.0. The Cloud Services plugin that will be made available for most of our existing customers is the Cloud Services 2.0 preferred version. And a very important point is that as part of our best practices, please do keep updating your allow lists. And that process is described online at our live community site. If I could get my slides to move today, that would be so good. Gosh, there we go. That's our live community slide showing how you can retrieve IP addresses for Prisma Access. You run an API script, it gives you the IP addresses that need to be whitelisted within your network, and then you go on to the next. And all these steps, as we've just said a few times, are described online. Oh gosh, there's the slides I was looking for earlier. These are the banners that you would see in Insights that would tell you that the upgrade is coming. And that's the slide that would show you where you can choose your time of your and your location. And these are the notifications that you will receive through Insights. And that is the most important thing. Please make sure to allow list your IP addresses and keep that hygiene going. This is all, and part of what I covered earlier was all the features in our new release. All this information is also available to you online, and there's a great release preview document that runs through much more detail than we went into about all your features, great features that are available to you in Prisma Access 2.0. As we've said a few times during this webinar, at any point, if you encounter issues, our world-class customer support team is standing by to help you. Please do open a ticket. with our through the CSP, and our customer support team will take care of you. I hope you've been able to realize that we've got a lot of assets and resources available for you. I know, Gary, you had a question about Prisma Access Panorama versus cloud managed. We've got resources available for you online that'll show you exactly what those feature differences are. And just to make a note that as we go forward through this year, our cloud managed version will reach parity with the Panorama version and will give you a great user experience. So look for more information on that. As a final step, I do want to encourage you all to please fill out the post-webinar survey. Let us know what worked for you in this webinar and what your interests are for future webinars. We do take your feedback very seriously. And finally, as Wendy mentioned at the outset, our next webinar coming up is Getting Started with Prisma Access Part 2. That'll take you through how to onboard your infrastructure subnet, a very important part of the whole setup, and your service connections, which is the underpinning to getting started and then onboarding your remote networks or mobile users. With that, folks, I bring it to an end for this webinar, and we'll take your questions. So, panelists, what questions do we have?
There are a couple of questions, Anil. I think Gary has raised. The first one is about the cloud services plugin 2.0, if it's backward compatible with 1.7 or 1.8. Khurram, do you want to take that?
No. You have to install. This is not a backward compatibility with the 2.0.
All right. So Gary, I hope that addresses your question. You have to install 2.0 and 2.0 only.
Yep. Another thing, the same other question from the Gary is asking about the multiple RN in the same region. So Gary, you can pick up your window when you want to upgrade. If you have all the RNs in one region, you can pick up your window of upgrade of time when you want to upgrade. In terms of the service impacting, yes, obviously in that time you will not be able to perform any changes in your network. That's only the thing which will be impacting while upgrade is happening. You will not be able to perform any commits to the Prisma Access once the backend is upgrading. I hope it answers your question.
Thank you, Khurram. I think that hopefully answered it. Any other questions, folks? I think we covered quite a bit, the licensing activation through two different means and Prisma Access 2.0 upgrade process. Hopefully this was useful. I know some of it may have been repetitive, but we just wanted to make sure everybody has the right information and all the information.